We're back. Welcome back, squad. We're back with mid-ish season review / future analysis. We're still working on the title. Let's roll. We got a lot of teams to cover. We got a lot of ground to cover. I'm going to jump right in, starting in the AFC with the Pats. Ramondre is the best bet here. He's averaging a 64% snap share, which doesn't sound amazing, but he's still the guy. He's still definitely the goal line guy. Gibson's kind of involved, not really. Everyone else is just Drake may will run the ball on occasion, which is nice, but I don't trust him. Hunter Henry, if you like rare steak, I would say is a good option. Could be great. Could absolutely make you feel horrible. So there's that. Started with a bad team. Let's move on. The Jets. Oh, the Jets. Still love Garrett Wilson. I have him on one of my teams, so I can't really. I'm biased, but I think they're both good. I think if you saw Wilson's catch, it was just nuts the other week. But two great wide receivers. I think they're both going to be fine ultimately. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Hall's a little interesting. He's not getting into the end zone because they throw the ball a lot in the red zone, but I still trust him. He's still going to get the passing work. And I still believe in the talent, obviously. He's still the dude. I still think he's going to generally be okay. The schedule gets easier. I'm cautiously optimistic about him. The Dolphins, Tua's back. Thank God. They've been hot dog water without him. Tyreek Hill had 12 points this past week. It was rough, but I think he's going to improve. And if that's the floor, it's not great, obviously, but it's definitely not terrible. So I think Tyrese can be fine. Waddle is more interesting to me. I don't trust him as much, and he's obviously the 2 here, and the tight ends are getting involved. So John Smith is getting some targets too, and that's becoming a problem for Waddle. So it's tricky because Tyreek goes into the slot a good amount. He's not like your outside number 1 who can get shadowed a bunch. So I don't super feel great about Waddle. I don't feel horrible. You could definitely do a lot worse, but he's kind of just like a weird hold right now, I think. Yeah, he's tricky. But on the bright side, Achane is a stud. He's getting pass catching. He's running like a train. He's been just nuts. He's amazing. Mostert will get the goal line work, which is cool for him, but he's just kind of like a dump truck. Like he just goes into the end zone. Maybe he'll catch one pass a game. Maybe he's a flex play. Maybe. If you feel like they're going to run into the end zone from the 2-yard line, because they're never going to QB sneak ever. So that's like the bright side for him. The Bills are interesting. Josh has been a little bit up and down. He's been super good, but also had some bad weeks too. He'll be fine though. Not super worried about him. Keon Coleman, I don't super trust him. I don't super trust a lot of these wide receivers. Cooper will get more involved and will get more targets in time, but he has to learn the playbook, learn the offense. It's going to take a little bit. He'll be fine, but it's going to take some time. Shakir is the dude right now, and he's getting those like slot wide receiver targets, which is super cool for him. Other than that, even Kincaid, like I don't love Kincaid because Dawson Knox is still there. It's just kind of it's fine, but it's not great. He's fine. He's very fine. Extremely fine. And it's also tight end, so it's like, who am I going to get? That's better. James Cook is great. He's just not seen the field a ton. He's under a 60% snap share. Ray Davis eats into that. Ty Johnson eats into that. Kind of sucks. He gets the goal line work more. He's getting more touchdowns this year, which is nice. Unless he gets into the end zone, the ceiling's kind of limited, which he could. He has done it. So the Ravens, Lamar is Lamar. Henry is Henry. They're both just nuts. They just acquired Deontay Johnson, which will be interesting for Zay Flowers and Johnson to see how they kind of commingle. I think they'll both be fine. I don't think anyone's going to be amazing. I don't super trust either of them, but they're going to be fine. Like they're not going to drop off the face of the earth. More curious to see how the tight ends go because with Henry, they're not getting rid of Henry. He's still going to get his work. There's going to have to be a loss in target somewhere, right? And so Johnson will get some, Flowers will get some, Andrews will get some, but I don't super trust him. I'm not super wanting to buy any of it. Could be great, but I'm scared. The Bengals, T. Higgins has died. His leg has left the building. He'll be back, I think, relatively soon, but this offense runs differently without Higgins, right? And so the tight ends get involved. Gesicki, Eric All just tore his ACL, poor kid. Once Higgins gets back, I don't trust tight ends. Not in this offense. It's just not. It's risky. Zach Moss just got put on IR. Wishing him a speedy recovery. Chase Brown is the man. Khalil Herbert just got brought in, and he'll get some work. I think less than Moss, but more than like 10%, right? So I think he'll sit somewhere in that like 20 to 40 range in time. He's going to ramp up. It's going to take some time, but Chase Brown is the dude now. I really like him. He'll catch passes. He's fast. The goal line will be interesting. I think it'll eventually go to Herbert, but we'll see. Jury's still out. The Browns, Deshaun has torn his Achilles, so James Steen is in, which I love him. He's wild, but he's fun. He's so fun. Njoku, his value goes up. I don't think he's necessarily like top 3, maybe even top 5, but he's still a rock star. Still feel really good about him. The wideouts are a little bit sneaky. Tillman is like the popular one, which is kind of weird to me. Judy's been really good target-wise lately, which is super interesting. Past 2 weeks, he's had 8 and 11 targets, which is nice. I think he's kind of a buy low because he's just gone under the radar. They're going to be throwing a lot more, and Chubb is... I feel bad for the dude. That injury just kind of wrecked him, and he'll still get in the end zone. He'll still get you some points, but they're going to be losing, and I don't super trust them. It sucks for Chubb. Maybe next year, but I'm not buying them. I'm out on Chubb. The Steelers, another weird one since Russ took over. It's been good for Pickens. The volume's there. Had some really unfortunate stuff with penalties and touchdowns being called back, stuff like that. The running backs is just Harris. Warren's there, but he's not there. And even Harris, I don't feel amazing about. They're going to score, but not a ton. They're going to be a meh team, but they're still going to win games because of that defense. The Jaguars are trying to run away with worst team of the year. Evan Ingram is one of the only few that I want in this offense. The target share was really high in his weeks back. Now Lawrence looks like he's hurt, which is just great. But who else are they going to throw to? Brian Thomas Jr. is still there. They'll throw him the ball. He'll be involved. They're going to be losing. Their defense is hot dog water. Ingram and Thomas, I like those guys. The running back is just a gross abomination of just seaweed and like this nasty like water that someone's got to drink out of, but you don't want it to be you, and it smells weird, and it could be from a sewer. I don't want to touch this backfield. I'm so out on it. Maybe Etienne takes it back over. Maybe Bigsby takes it. I don't know. I don't care. I don't want it. The Colts is interesting. Flacco has taken over. I don't think that will be the rest of the year necessarily. He had a pretty bad game against Minnesota. Downs is tricky because his first read target share is near like a 40%. It's nuts, but he's only on the field half the time because he's a slot guy. I really like Josh Downs. I think he's a great buy option, but you need him to see the field, and you kind of want it to be with Flacco is the tricky part because the targets are there with Flacco. He had 9 against Minnesota, but if it's Richardson, it's 2 points or it's 20, right? It's a risk. Pittman, I think he's still hurt. He's fallen off a cliff, poor dude. JT, on the other hand, is doing great. He's the man. I love him. He's a great buy low, I think. The Texans, they're getting Nico back soon. I'm assuming either this week or next week, hopefully soon, from that hamstring. Dell will still be involved because Diggs is out for the season, which sucks, but Stroud... I'd be trying to move off Stroud, even with Nico back. You can kind of sell that as like a sales point, but I don't super trust Stroud. Mixon has run the ball a lot, and Mixon's been a stud, and they're going to get touchdowns a lot from Mixon, which they already have. So Stroud is just hard to trust, I think. The Titans, Calvin Ridley is the one now with D-Hop gone. Tony Pollard's the one, but Spears is coming back, so that'll eat into it some. Other than that, move on. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, man. Patrick Mahomes has been rough. He had his first finish above 20 fantasy points this last week. Pacheco comes back. Should be back, I'm assuming, by the end of the month, maybe early next month. But it's not going to be, they're not going to send him 80% of the snaps week 1 back, right? They're going to ease him into it. He'll still get points. He'll still get into the end zone, right? He'll be fine-ish, but not what you drafted him as, which sucks. Hunt's still there. Steele's there a little bit. They're going to mix in guys. It won't be a full-on committee, I don't think, but it's not going to be what you want it to be. Kelsey's involved, but he kind of looks like a rugrat. He moves slow. He runs slow. He's scoring points, but he's not getting into the end zone really. He's just catching these short under routes. He's kind of like a Keenan Allen of tight ends. Yeah, just don't super trust him, but also like who else am I going to play? So... fire him up, I guess. And then D-Hop had a huge week with the Chiefs in like his first or second game, which is awesome for him. He's going to be really good because they need him to be. So that's cool to see. I don't think he'll score like 30 points a game like he did last week every week, but I think he'll have a decent amount of targets for sure. The Broncos, a little bit weird. Bo Nix is rolling. He's not a bad fantasy option because he runs. NFL quarterback-wise, I trust him a little bit less, but we're talking fantasy, so he's kind of fun. Sutton will have a good floor. Ceiling's not really there. They're not going to pass for, 4 touchdowns a game or anything like that, I don't think. But Sutton is still a good floor play. He's gotten some good targets the past couple weeks, and he is the number one here for sure, like not close. There's a lot of rookies there, but I don't really trust any of them. They're on the field like half the time at best. Vele, Franklin, if you want to risk it for the biscuit, be my guest. And Devontae, I liked him early on, but his target share dipped now to around 53%, I think is what it was. So hard to trust going forward with that, especially because they have McLaughlin and they have Estime now working back in from that injury. I would probably try to move him. He'll still be on the field. He'll still start, but lower your expectations for sure. The Raiders make me want to cry. It's Brock Bowers and it's Jacoby. Everything else is just kind of there. It's just like watching your grandma play a banjo on like a Tuesday at 4 p.m. You just want to go home. I had a weird childhood. And the Chargers, they've been throwing the ball more lately, which is fun. Herbert's still a little risky because Dobbins could always run into the end zone, and they're just going to milk the clock a ton still, especially when they're winning. So there's some risk with Herbert, but I think he's finally coming into a little bit, and this is optimism, right? I'm hoping for this, wishful thinking, hoping he's going to start throwing the ball more, looking for Ladd, who's been really solid lately. QJ, if you like to risk it, but Dobbins is the man. Like, he's proven so many people wrong, and me. So good for him. I'm happy for him, dude. Like, awesome to see. Moving to the NFC, we'll start with the Giants. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. He's throwing the ball, but this last week against the Commanders, they just sold out for the run even when they were drowning, which was a bold strategy. So Tyrone Tracy, I really like. He looks great. He looks good, and he's going to get you points. So the problem is that they're not winning a ton. So they're going to have to throw the ball at some point, right? So we think. Who knows? Neighbors has just been nuts. Keep playing him. He's the rock star. He's going to be a top 10 pick next year for sure. Wandale's interesting. He started off red hot. He still had some good targets. Over the last couple of weeks, he's kind of been meh. And that's because tight end Theo Johnson's getting involved more, which is gross because he's not really playable either. So they're kind of eating at each other, which sucks. Wandale's still 4th in targets on the year. I think that will go down for sure. He's the slot guy. He plays 80% of his routes from the slot. It's the Keenan Allen, right? It's the low yardage, high target role. So the floor will be good, I think, moving forward. But Theo Johnson scares me a little bit with that offense. And I mean, the Giants offense scares me a little bit with that offense. So I don't know. I don't feel great about him. But if you can get him for cheap, maybe I'd do it. The Cowboys, I think they just lost Dak for the season, which sucks. You got to make do. CeeDee Lamb, you just lower expectations. He's still going to be the guy there, but it's just hard to trust him with Cooper Rush. Rico's looking nice. He played 71% of snaps last week, and that's because Zeke was in trouble for something. Bad boy. So that'll go, I think, back down again. With Cooper Rush, I think the checkdowns will be there, but the running has already been bad, and I think it's going to be worse. Jake Ferguson's still the dude, but again, Cooper Rush, just lower the ceiling. Same old stuff. It's going to be a rough go for the Cowboys. The Commanders are fun. Look at that. Jaden Daniels, top 5 QB this year. Good for him, man. That's awesome. Terry has been great. He's getting all the work from Jaden, and they know that, and it's not a secret. Brian Robinson's the goal line back. They've kind of settled into this committee. That's kind of working because the offense moves well. Where Eckler catches passes and does some blocking. Robinson's the goal line guy, and then they bake in McNichols once in a blue moon. So it's a little gross, but it's kind of working. It's tricky, but they're making it work. Noah Brown, I guess if you're feeling risky, I thought they'd get a wide receiver at the deadline, but they didn't. They just got Lattimore. So it's a fun offense, a fun team. Good for them, man. The Eagles, Saquon is nuts. Hurts is still good. Yeah, those two are dominant. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, still doing good, but Barkley eats into their touchdowns for sure. Yeah, and they've both kind of gotten a little banged up this year, which doesn't help. Goddard, I think he's still injured. I don't know when he's coming back, but he's fine when he gets back. He's fine. Not great, not terrible. The Bears have been rough. I found that when you can't figure out the problem, right? Caleb is an insane talent. They have wide receivers. Their line's bad. Their line is horribly bad. But when you can't figure out the problem, it's usually a coaching problem. And that is so evident here, man. It's tough. There's 3 good wideouts here, and it's just hard to trust any of them. Komet's there too. DJ's on the field the most, but Allen's still getting those short yard targets because Caleb has 2 seconds to throw the ball. Oduzne is good, but he's up and down. I don't super trust him, but he's fun. Komet, I think he had no targets last week, which is just tragic. But again, like there's too many mouths to feed, and no one's been amazing. Everyone's been fine. So Swift on the bright hand after they moved Herbert. Swift really looks good, looks great moving forward. He'll get the goal line work, I think. He's going to be the dude. Roshan will be mixed in some at the goal line and in the passing, but Swift is great. He's been good. The Lions are the Lions. Monty and Gibbs, 2 great running backs. They love to run the ball, and they're really only looking for Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's kind of it. JMO started the season super hot, but he's cooled off, and now he's coming back from that suspension. Laporta, I don't trust Laporta at all. Especially last game, there was no JMO, and he still did bad. So he'll have some hit weeks where he scores a touchdown, but I don't trust him at all. I try to move him if you can at this point. I don't even know. It sucks. The Vikings, what a defense, man. They've been nuts this year. It's cool to see. Jefferson, never should have doubted him at all. He's still the dude. He's nuts. He's just a rock star, and they love him in Minnesota. So everyone else, hit or miss. Hawkinson's coming back too, which will eat into Addison and whoever the heck else they have there. So I like Hawkinson, but I don't feel great about him coming off that ACL. I feel like all the tight ends this year, I'm like, yeah, they're fine. They're very fine. And the Packers, the whiteout room is the whiteout room. It's what we thought, right? Convoluted, a little bit unclear. Reed's probably the one there, but again, don't feel great about it. It's just kind of if you're feeling risky. Kraft is good right now, but Musgrave's going to come back from IR soon, so that'll eat into some of his work. But the volume's not really there for anyone except maybe Reed. There's too many mouths to feed. Jordan Love's great, though. It's a good QB. Injured a little bit, gotten beat up some. They got a high-powered offense. Jacobs is good. He's going to get the goal line work. The problem is that when they're losing, he's not on the field. You saw it against Detroit, right? They were losing a couple scores, and he just wasn't on the field. So it's just tough. The Falcons, Kirky's doing his thing. Bijan's been good, but Algiers eating some of the touchdowns, which is a bummer. But Bijan's fine. He'll be good. Mooney has been the surprise probably of the season at wideout. He's been a rock star. No one's played more snaps this season than Mooney at wideout. He's been nuts. London's been great. Pitts has been inconsistent. He's had some really good weeks. I'd wait for him to have another good week and sell him. The targets are a mixed bag, and I don't want that. I'd try and get someone with more targets if I could. But this offense is fun. It's a good time. The Panthers, you got to feel bad for the Panthers. Jonathan Brooks is coming back very soon, which is exciting, which will eat into Chuba. So they'll kind of negate each other, I think, especially early on. Thielen, if you like old wide receivers with bad injuries, he has a hamstring. Let's move on. The Bucks, poor Bucks, lost Evans and Godwin. Godwin's out for the year, which sucks. Evans will come back, and he'll be fine. He'll get some good points. Baker is just nuts. Like, he's thrown to Cade Otton now, who's been great. Curious to see how that goes when Evans comes back. But Baker's been a stud. He's still doing great. He's a top 5 QB. The running back room is convoluted at best, but it's kind of working because of all the injuries to the wideouts. Bucky and Rashad, and they're just kind of mixing it in, and people are trying to predict. And Bucky looks like a better runner, but Rashad White's a better pass blocker. They've both had goal line work. I don't super know if they know the game plan with them, but it's kind of working. So weird, but I'm not like buying them. I'm not going out of my way to get them. But if you have them, believe it or not, there is worse. And the Saints, it's Kamara. He's still a stud. Or Olave. I hope he's okay. Gosh. That's all I want. The Cardinals, Murray's been a bit of a bummer, which kind of sucks. Same with Harrison. Harrison's been affected by that. He's had some very good weeks and some very bad weeks. He's kind of a little touchdown dependent. I think he will get better, but again, I don't super trust him. Trey McBride has had some boom weeks, had some meh weeks. He's fine. Everyone's fine, but Trey's on the field, and you know he's the one, right? And you know they look for him, so I like him more than most tight ends. And James Conner still just keeps ticking, keeps doing his thing, man. Good for him. Love it. The Rams, Puka punched a dude the other week. And Cup is there, and Cup gets a huge share when Puka's gone, but Puka's coming back. I would try and sell Cup right now if I could. They'll both still be good, don't get me wrong, but Puka's going to see more first read target share, more volume, da-da-da-da-da. And then Kyron is Kyron. Kyron is great. They love him. We love him. Easy. The 49ers get CMC back soon. Could be this week or next week. It's tricky, right? Because they're going to ramp him up and they're not going to throw him in 80% of the snaps. They're going to ramp him up in time. They will need him in the future weeks for sure, but Kittle's been nuts, man. I've been wrong about Kittle. He's awesome. And Ayuk going down really helped him a lot, which sucks for Ayuk. But Debo is Debo. Has some good weeks, has some bad weeks. That's what it is. And then the Seahawks, Metcalf's been gone for a couple weeks, which helps JSN a ton. He had a really good week the other week. But once DK gets back, they'll kind of level each other out, go into some normal roles. They're fun to see. Fun team to watch. Kenneth Walker's the dude. He's going to get all the goal line work. Should have drafted him earlier, but he's great. Whew, I'm tired. Okay, ran through everyone. Let me know what you think. I'm tired. I'm going to go take a nap. Peace out.